Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the G.A.M.M.A Wave. This podcast was made for you and me because, let's be real, conversations about health and pop culture, they don't usually happen in the same space. It's like night and day, but this show is the dawn of a new wave. Here, people like us who love gaming, anime, movies, music, and art finally have a place to level up our health, wellness, and personal growth in a way that feels natural to us. If I had to sum it up in one line, this podcast is here to inspire and energize you to take the lead role in your own health and growth journey. So let's find out what this G.A.M.M.A Wave podcast is all about. All right, so what's this G.A.M.M.A Wave? What's this G.A.M.M.A podcast all about? So let's start with the name. The name G.A.M.M.A Wave. It's actually an acronym for gaming, anime, movies, music, and arts. It's a mouthful, and it's all the things I love and enjoy. And each of those things have shaped me in different ways. And honestly, they're important in my life. So I think it's only fitting that I get to talk about the things important in my life and health as well. So giving us a nice, cool, unique place to talk about health and pop culture. So let's start with gaming. So for me, some of my earliest memories about gaming were actually, I didn't even get to play the game. It was actually my father who played the game. I couldn't have been no more than 2 years old, and I remember sitting in my dad's lap, 12, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. in the morning, and he's playing this game. I believe he said was called Conquest. And basically it's like Clash of Clans. You try to conquer other villages, you build your armies, things like that. And I would just watch him play that game for hours until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. So those are some of the earliest memories of gaming. And then, as I got older, definitely played a lot of games. The one that comes to mind right now is Halo. So Halo definitely holds a place near and dear in my heart because that was like a family game, essentially. This is back when we could quad box at home, and it's like me, my brother, my sister, and my dad. We're playing the campaigns, we're playing the online Slayer, and we're just having a blast. So those are some really great moments. And when you talk about great moments, you can't leave out these two words, especially when it comes to anime. And we're talking about Dragon Ball. So I know you see the Vegeta poster right behind me. And yeah, as a kid, so fun to watch. As an adult, still fun to watch. And with my life experiences now, like I have a even greater appreciation for like the character development and just different things that you miss growing up while watching it. So, man, that's the anime, that's the A in G.A.M.M.A. Next, there is the M, which is movies. So, when I think of movies, I think about quality time with friends and family. I think about life lessons that you learn from movies. I feel like movies have an underappreciated way of just showing you a different perspective. And that's really powerful. So a movie that comes to mind for me is the movie About Time. If you haven't seen it, definitely recommend watching it. It's really good. It's a rom-com, but I definitely appreciated it. And the lesson I learned in that movie was just being in the moment. So if you want a really chill movie, that's going to be one of my movie recommendations, is like just go watch Go find About Time, watch it. Let me know if you watch it. Just let me know in the comments, like, hey, that was a great movie. What are some other movies you recommend? I can give you some other recommendations, but that's one of my favorites. Um, Music. That's the fourth letter of our acronym for Gamma. So music is very important in my life. I would say, and I'm taking a moment to reflect. So drumming, drumming was a really big part of my life growing up. I don't play the drums anymore, but I played the drums as early as maybe like a year old. There's pictures of me playing on my mom's pots and pans with wooden utensils, and my dad has his little electric keyboard because my dad played the piano and organ, and I just remember playing all the way through adolescence up to adulthood. Had some really great memories playing at the church and at the school band, different venues I had the opportunity to play at. So music was definitely a huge part of my life. Not just playing music, but also listening to music, whether the live form or listening, the recorded form, concerts. I just love listening to music, and I appreciate the different artists, whether they're singers or musicians, producers. 'Cause I listen to just about everything. So music, I have my Spotify account. If you're interested, I can give you a rundown of my Wrapped. But yeah, I love music. So the final A in Gamma, we have art, and I feel like art just kind of reflects all the other ones before. But I would also include, like other art forms like photography, videography, comedy, like stand up comedy. So, and I can just go on and on. There's so many different art forms. This will be a show that incorporates all of them, and we're talking about health. So, that's the really unique thing about this show. We're going to talk about all those different areas and health at the same time. So, next, we're going to kind of do a little deep scientific dive into the gamma waves. So, the other meaning behind the name gamma waves, of course, you may think of like the Hulk, which the Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel heroes. But if we're looking at it in reality, we have the gamma brainwaves, which are tied to focus, creativity, and flow. So that's the state I want this podcast to put you in. I want it to put you in a state of focus, creativity, and flow. So think of it like this: I want you to focus on leveling up your health. I want you to be inspired to create a life where you thrive as the main character and flow with the momentum towards your goals. That is my aim for you in this podcast. So, uh, I guess an example of like what that would look like, I'll share a personal experience. Many, many moons ago, about 5 years ago, I was studying for the RD exam to become a registered dietitian. I'm an RD, by the way. So I'm working this full time job. I'm a manager. I'm driving, 50 miles one way just to get to the office, not including the other sites I had to go check on. So I'm probably racking up 100 plus miles round trip every day. And I'm coming home and I'm studying for this RD exam. But not only am I studying for this exam, my cousin had just put me onto the anime Attack on Titan. So to me, I know I love Dragon Ball Z, but Attack on Titan probably just, as far as storyline, it clears. But I won't admit that it's better than Dragon Ball Z, but I will, kind of thing. And so I just remember I watched that first episode and I was hooked. So I remember like I'm studying at my flashcards, but I'm also like at the corner of my eye, I have my laptop, and I'm just like watching Attack on Titan. Like, oh my gosh, what's this? These big old giants and stuff. What are they doing? This is crazy. And I wasn't stressed. Nope. I was in this really cool kind of flow state. That's the best way to describe it because I'm up till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning just studying. And 2 weeks later I'm taking my exam, and then boom, I pass. And then another boom because I get married the next day. It happened to be Christmas Eve, and I married the love of my life, and I go into event planner mode. So, and all during that time, it was just, creating and focus and flowing in a way that could pull out the best, manifesting that potential into something that would create highlights for years to come. And that's what I'm hoping the listeners, you will get out of this podcast, that you will get to stop, consider like a station. You get to stop here, you get fueled up, and then you're ready to take on life's challenges. So that's what I have in store for you for this podcast, which also leads to the symbolism of gamma. So gamma means 3 in Greek. It represents wholeness and balance, mind, body, and spirit. That's exactly what I want for this podcast. Sure, on the surface level, I know you're thinking like, we're talking about games, Caleb. We're talking about anime. We're talking about movies. We're talking about, stuff that probably you wouldn't think about health as the first thing. But underneath, it's all about balance. It's all about growth. And when we talk about the beginnings of mastery, and that's what the gamma represents, to me, that's a small, sustainable action that builds towards confidence and momentum. Basically, the beginnings of mastery equals, if we're putting in a formula, sustainable momentum and confidence. So that is the formula for success in my eyes. And like I said, we're talking about pop culture here. And so basically, if I can give you a big picture of what I want this podcast to do for you, I'm gonna give you an example right here. You remember when Goku landed on Namek the first time? Do you remember he didn't even step foot on the planet yet? He just the door opened and he's just, the wind's blowing. I can see it in my head right now. I've watched that episode so many times. And he just, like, you as a viewer, you're like, Goku's different right now. Like, he's moving different. He hasn't even moved yet, but he's moving different. And the following scenes is like, he goes to check on Krillin and Gohan, and everybody's like, whoa, like Goku's moving different. And that's because he put that time and preparation into, or he put the time into preparing for the challenges ahead. And he rose and exceeded what was needed in that time. So that's what I want you, that's the feeling I want you to have as you listen to this podcast and as you reflect on what you've heard in the podcast. I want you to, feel that you have the energy, you have like the focus, you're in that flow state to reach, that next level and keep growing and going. And if I could summarize that into like one rally cry, I would say G.A.M.M.A Wave. Intentionally transforming potential into peak performance. That's what I want every listener to walk away with, after they see, a piece of media that they love, whether it's a favorite show, a song they love, a game they play. I want you to be empowered through the things that you enjoy. So, and I want you to be empowered to achieve the best level of health and growth possible. So, I want to thank you for stopping by for my first, I guess this is my first official podcast. And I just really thank you for being here. You're coming in at the early stages, so if you think of it like a movie or like a show, if you've ever been to like those new shows, comedy shows, usually the first act, it's kind of a crowd warmer upper, but as you build momentum along the show and you get to the last act, it's like, man, that was really good. So consider this the first act. It may take a while to get warmed up to a speed that I feel satisfied with. But hey, if you know me, I'm all about taking imperfect action and just doing it because that's the only way you're gonna learn and get to where you want to go. If you wait for perfect weather to plant, you'll never have the crop to harvest from. So I take that personally first, and then I'm sharing that with you. And I just also thank you for being here and having your part in this show. It's not just me. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it again. This show is not just me. You are what makes this show because you're helping to build this very unique space where we talk about all these different passions of ours, and we talk about health, and we talk about personal growth. So it's about us. We are what makes this show. The format of the show and the focus of the show will vary. Sometimes we'll talk about like nutrition, we'll talk about health, we'll talk about personal growth. Sometimes we'll have a loosey goosey episode and just talk about our top 5 movies or top 5 shows or top 5 games, and just kind of go off freestyle a little bit. So if you're okay with that and you like what you're hearing, you need to do a couple different things. I need you to like the video, like the podcast. I need you to subscribe, most importantly. That's an important one. And then if you enjoyed this and you know someone that you feel like would enjoy this as well, go ahead and share this podcast with them. And, be sure to leave your comments, whatever reflections you have. I think earlier I mentioned, if you watch I forget what movie I mentioned now. I've been going for about 20 minutes or so. But yeah, put those answers in the comments. I look forward to reading them and getting back to you on that. So there you have it. That's the G.A.M.M.A Wave. And be on the lookout for that next episode later this week. And until then, let me sign off with the G.A.M.M.A Wave, intentionally transforming potential into peak performance. All right, see you later.